Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's JPR, and welcome back to another video. As promised, we still have one other game from last week's big announcement to go over. In case you missed my initial video about Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, make sure you check that one out. I'm not giving that game the shaft by any means, it's just time to talk about the big kahuna now, Pokemon Legends Arceus, and what I think this means for the future of Pokemon. As a matter of fact, I made a video a few months back after the Crown Tundra dropped where I speculated about the future of the open world in Pokemon games and how it might look going forward. I'm pretty sure I said that I didn't ever expect Pokemon to go full sandbox, Breath of the Wild style with it, and here I am maybe 100-ish days later eating my own words. I'll admit I was quite shocked by this revelation. I didn't think they had it in them, because we all know how long Breath of the Wild took to make and how many delays that product went through. It seemed like that game was never coming out. Granted, if I had to guess, although this game seems massive in scale from what we've seen, it probably still isn't nearly the size of Breath of the Wild. I would be shocked if it was anywhere near that big. I think what made this revelation so shocking was that we know that Game Freak, Nintendo, and the Pokemon Company have been riding this yearly release train for all it's worth for the better part of the last decade. And in that time, the sales have not declined in the slightest, so I'll be honest, I didn't think they'd give this an attempt until like generation 10 or 11. Say what you will about the quality of the games over the past 10 years, but money is money, and I'm sure they're making a ton of it with the current formula that they have. But now we're looking at the possibility of Gen 8 being extended through 2023, which would make it the longest generation since Gen 4, because I highly doubt they're going to launch another title on a scale as large as this one in a brand new region later that same year. I just don't see it happening. If anything, I think this game might be coming out a bit too early. This might be one that they need to delay a few months, because man, that trailer, while hype and ambitious, it certainly looked rough. This game looked like it was running on the 2002 Dell in your grandparents' basement, like it's barely past beta. I know the Switch isn't the most powerful system ever, but come on, the textures, the resolution, the frame rate, it all needs a pretty hefty upgrade before release. I don't claim to be a game developer or have a ton of knowledge on the subject, but I would imagine the optimization is probably the last thing that happens in the process, so I'm not that worried. They'll probably clean it up a considerable amount, but I am skeptical of how much better this game can look in only a year from now. I remember when they first showed off the wild area in June of 2019 and people said the same thing then about how rough it all looked, but of course there were people saying, don't worry, they'll clean it up, they still have a few months, it's going to look great in the final release, and it didn't really end up looking that much better in the final release. But I'm off on a tangent here. I don't really want to be a stickler for graphics because the concept itself is so much more important. We're here to talk about how this game could shape the future of Pokemon as a whole. Because if nothing else, you can't say this doesn't look ambitious or innovative. We've been clamoring for something different for a while, and now it's finally here. I love the idea of this being based in the ancient past. I kinda wish more Pokemon games played around with the idea of utilizing different time periods instead of everything just being shiny and modern. Like, there's barely any continuity from one game to another already in the core series, so why not get a little more creative with your settings? The starters being a mix from different regions is also really cool. I think it's far more interesting than just sticking us with a trio that hasn't changed at all. If they ever do more of these Legends games, I really hope that's something that doesn't change. I mean, the subtitle Arceus implies that this could become a series somewhere down the line. They could have just called it Pokemon Legends, and I think that actually would have been a way cooler title, but adding that Arceus subtitle makes me really suspicious of their long-term plans. People have already speculated about other possible Legends games like Pokemon Legends Kyurem, which takes place during the birth of Zekrom and Reshiram, and we actually get to see the original dragon. I think that'd be super cool because realistically, I don't think they'd remake both Black and White and Black 2 and White 2. They'd probably just do the first one and give Kyurem the shaft. But now there's this concept out there that they could do something entirely different with a region in Pokemon that we're already familiar with, and that just sounds amazing. Going even further down the line, we could have Legends Zygarde, which focuses on the Great Kalos War 3,000 years ago and the Ultimate Weapon. Just think how much potential this would have as a series. There's so much pre-established Pokemon lore that they've done nothing with, and as we go into the future, they may just decide to not do XY remakes or Sun and Moon remakes because those games are already in 3D. Maybe they'll get ported and put in HD, but that's it. So this would be their solution to those regions not being totally forgotten. and we'd still get something new out of them. Maybe this will force Game Freak to slow down this constant churn of Pokemon games that a lot of people are getting tired of, or bare minimum, they'll probably have to do a lot more outsourcing with the core games like we're seeing with ILCA handling the Diamond and Pearl remakes. Not enough people are talking about that, by the way. Like, it's pretty huge that a studio that isn't Game Freak is now producing a core series Pokemon game, even if it's just a remake. But yeah, as a series, I think Legends has a ton of potential, and I'd be really sad if this was just a one-and-done type of deal. I mean, this is a great answer to the National Dex controversy if you think about it, because there is no National Dex in the ancient past. Heck, there's barely even any modern Pokeballs. When you think of it that way, as this becoming something that may replace the constant need for remakes, it actually could lead to a way bigger shift than we think. Now, let's reel it back in for a second, because right now, there's only one game, and it's Legends Arceus. And when I'm talking about this one game, I want to keep my expectations pretty low. Yes, it's gonna be cool, it's gonna be fresh, but for all we know, this could just be a tech demo for Gen 9. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this was just a 5 to 10 hour game, especially if they're already laying down an early 2022 release date with the shape this game is in. I know that could easily change, but I'm not expecting a ton of content from this. I think it will more or less just be a small taste of things to come. If I'm dead wrong and it turns out to be a full-length game and it looks amazing, plays amazing, I'll gladly accept that result, because who doesn't love a good Pokemon game? But this is just my prediction. Keep expectations in check. I know that sounds counterintuitive to the whole point of this video, especially since I just rattled off about how this could change Pokemon forever as we know it, and become a series that overtakes remakes, but let's just come back down to earth for a brief moment. I am concerned for this individual game's well-being. As I said, it looks extremely rough. But I'm also optimistic about the change this game could bring down the road. But with that being said, you now have my thoughts on both the DP remakes and Legends, so next week we'll be getting back to business as usual. Aside from the game announcements, this week was also a little weird because I had to squeeze the 100,000 subscriber special in somewhere, which you can still check out even if you missed the premiere, it's no big deal. But if you'd like to stay in the loop with both my videos and the upcoming games, be sure to subscribe and hit that like button if you enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time.